on our second faculty meeting of this calendar year. It's my pleasure to introduce my colleague, your good friend of ours, Dr. Azziz is the Professor of Medical Humanities, Department of Art, Augusta State University, otherwise known as President of Georgia Health Sciences University and CEO of Georgia Health Sciences Health System. So please welcome Dr. Azziz.
I'm actually still waiting for that call from the department to tell me what I'm supposed to do in medical humanities. I'm trying to prepare things, but I'm yet waiting for that call. So whoever is responsible, call me. Let me know. I want to just take a short time of your meeting to go over the mission, vision, values that has been circulating through email. And let me tell you a little bit of the story. We have to have a new mission, vision, values for the SACS application in October. We have to put one. It's not going to be necessarily the last one ever visited on campus as we move into a broader campus strategic planning over the next couple of years. Of course, that may be revisited and should be in a more timely fashion. But right now, we need to get a mission, vision, value statement that somewhat reflects what the vision of the future is and actually allows SACS to know that we have some sort of understanding. And so I'm going to go very quickly through this mission, vision, values. I will tell you that that was generated by group effort. In fact, Dr. Bloodworth and I had the least input into that because it really had to do with the group. And again, the group is partly the working group that has been appointed by the chancellor, and then there's a staff group that prepares material for that working group of the chancellor. Now, the mission, I like mission statements that are brief and succinct, and you can put on a postcard, and they sound right and so on. But the truth is that because it's a new university, a number of members of your community, in fact, and other communities, really felt that it needed to be broader and descriptive, that it needed to have sort of a we are this and this is our mission, rather than simply saying this is our mission. And so if you see it here, it states that it is an inclusive, student-centered, comprehensive research university and academic health center with a range of academic programs from learning assistance through postdoctoral studies, and a dedication to leadership and excellence in teaching, discovery, clinical care, and service to the local community, the state, the nation, and the world. Now, it's a big thing. It's a lot. It's not necessarily the kind of mission statement that will resonate, as I said, in a branding campaign, but we can work with it. But I'm going to go through it very quickly and tell you what I was told about why the mission is written this way. Clearly, everybody wanted to be sure that we were an inclusive, student-centered institution. The term Comprehensive Research University applies simply to the fact that when we are consolidated, our categories at Carnegie Institute, and in fact, I'll be sending a blog to that effect over the next 24 hours, is called a Comprehensive Research University. It simply means that research is a part of the portfolio of the university. University by term, by its designation, of course, is about education. It is an academic health center because we're not just a university, we're also inclusive of this health system that I think many of you don't really know yet, but hopefully over the next few years you'll get to know better. It is an extraordinary machine, and is really one of the reasons that we can actually and will have tremendous strength as we work together into the future. Now, we did want to put down that we have a wide range of academic programs going all the way from learning assistance, meaning we are maintaining our access and our student mission at that level, certainly through postdoctoral studies. And finally, what is our real mission statement, what is our mission. And really, we would have a dedication in leadership and excellence, so it isn't just good enough to be excellent. We really need to lead. We need to craft that new path, if you would, and then, of course, into teaching, discovery, clinical care, and service. And then we sort of played back, should we just say the world, or is it just the city, and so on and so forth. At the end of the day, of course, you then have the whole thing, right? Local, community, state, nation, and the world. We want to make sure everybody knows that we didn't miss any part of this. Is this the most beautiful mission statement? No. Is it workable and certainly tells SACS and others for the time being who we are? Absolutely. In fact, it's more descriptive than we would otherwise have. And again, we're not going to have a lot of time to discuss it today. I just wanted to explain why this appeared. But I will say that both Bill and I follow the group's thoughts, and we respect those in many ways. The vision is much clearer and much shorter, and that is to be a world-class, student-centered, comprehensive research university that transforms the region and the state into a destination for education, healthcare, discovery, and innovation. So it's just a statement of a vision. We want to be a destination. We want to be a place where students come here and say, I want to go to Augusta to train. You want to have a place that the patients say, I want to go to Augusta to have my care, and so on and so forth. And that's really the issue. And we want to be world-class. We don't really want to say, well, we want to be as good as our neighboring institution, or we want to be just as good as our counterparts across the state. We want to be world-class. We want to be eventually, right, as we work toward this, have a vision that actually is compelling. Now, values was actually relatively simple because at the end of the day, we just went through a process where we had to integrate our values. The health system and the practice plan and the university all had somewhat different values, but at the end of the day, when we looked at them, they all were pretty much the same because we all value the same thing. And again, when the group began to look at the values of GHSU and ASU, they were also relatively the same. So it turned out to be that it wasn't that complicated. Again, most value statements you see 5 or 6 values. This has a little bit more, again, because we're in that phase where we're trying to make sure that everybody's voice is heard to the extent possible. And of course, the values are collaboration and compassion, excellence, inclusivity, integrity, leadership, and scholarship. These are in alphabetical order, not in order of priority. And then what we did is that we have a large number of, I don't know if this pointer is working, but a large number of words that are similar, right? Because we often get confused. In this case, collaboration really means collegiality, partnership, teamwork. Inclusivity means diversity, awareness, and so on and so forth. So we want to make sure that people understand that these are overarching values that actually refer to a group of principles, if you would, to do that. And that's really what has gone out for your input. The input, again, is electronic, and we want to know who approves and who doesn't approve, and so on and so forth. And of course, comments. And we need to sort of get feedback on this relatively quickly. The groups will then take the feedback that they receive, and they will look at all the feedback. They'll modify the mission, vision, values statement accordingly. That'll come back to the work group that the chancellor approved. We reviewed there, discussed, and then hopefully, if everything looks okay, we'll then forward it to the individuals who are putting together the prospectus for SAC. So that's really this process. We want to be as transparent as we can be, but also we want to be as quickly paced, if you would. We want to be on a rapid pace to make sure that we have the materials that SACS needs of us while being as inclusive as we can. And Dr. Bloodworth reminds me that we're hoping to have this at the May meeting, either May or July or April. I think May may be, they may be canceling, but we need to. The final step, of course, is the mission, vision, values needs to be approved by the Board of Regents, which is why we're on somewhat of a fast pace. Even though the application goes in October, the Regents have to approve it with plenty of time in advance, and so we need to do that. And that's what the next step. Thanks, Bill, for reminding me. I'm going to stop there for a second and answer questions, maybe mostly about the process and so on and so forth, and I'm happy to do that. I have a couple of more comments that I want to just mention, and then I'm going to let you all continue with your meeting. But I did want to come forward, and I'm hoping to get more invitations to talk to you as a group, as a faculty, so that we can have more of a dialogue, and I can hear a little bit more concerns and questions and so on and so forth that we try to answer, but if not, we'll work together to try to answer them. Questions about this particular process of the mission, vision, values that are crafted? Right. Seeing none, I will tell you that we do want to hear from you. So if you have not answered your email, do answer it. We want your input. This is not about trying to drive something. As you can see, this is the product of sorry, I'm putting this down here. This is the product of compromise, and that's okay. It may not be as pretty, but it certainly is a valuable tool for the time being. There's a couple of things that I wanted to end up discussing very briefly. And one is that there's been some concern about the fact that, there are researchers here and doctorates there and this and that and undergraduates here. Every large university is very heterogeneous. For those of you who have spent your careers or your times like I have in large universities, It's a tremendously heterogeneous community that comes together around a general set of values and a vision and a mission, which is what we're talking about. And at the end of the day, it really tries to improve the outcome of humanity and their communities, and much further out than just their communities, the world. But the reality is that there's tremendous heterogeneity. And so there has been a lot of concern because some faculty say, well, I teach only undergraduates and don't do research or funded research, and what does that mean if I have colleagues who actually do funded research? And that is really much less relevant than you actually think about. In all large universities, you just go walk to UGA. You know, certainly there are a number of professors who are teaching in certain disciplines, say liberal arts and so on and so forth, and there are professors, say, in the School of Veterinary Science, and there are scientists in the Carbohydrate Research Institute and so on. So, in fact, that heterogeneity, that multicolored fabric is really what makes the institutions rich in their experience for students and what makes institutions strong. So I would not worry so much about the fact that there is diversity in the faculty, that there is diversity in the students, because at the end of the day, large universities have that, and large universities actually will benefit from that. In fact, when you're homogeneous and very similar across the board, your ability to grow, your ability to be of great value diminishes, because then you can only offer one thing, right? Everything looks sort of like a nail because you are a hammer. So I just want everybody to understand that. The other thing that I want you to understand is that we will, when we become a new university, have to work in unity. If you've noticed, the dialogue around GHSU as a force within the city and as a force within the state has changed dramatically in the last 20 months. I mean, the dialogue is significant. The governor has been in Augusta 8 times to visit with our community. The previous governor was in Augusta 3 times in his 8 years in office, okay? And the reason that that dialogue has changed, and the reason that we are having the philanthropic community raise up and begin to support us, the reason that we can actually buck certain things that we don't think are appropriate for the university and do it in a way that people listen, is because we are unified. Because at the end of the day, they cannot pick us apart. They can't take the health system over here and the practice over there, the university here and the foundation there, and sort of pick on us individually, because we are one big family, and we're going to respond en masse. We're going to respond with unity that has not been seen before. So as we move into a new university, I want you all to keep that in mind, that our ability to get things done for the good of the university, for the good of the faculty, for the good of the students, for the good of the patients, is going to depend on how unified we are. If we do not come across unified, we will be picked apart. Now, that's an age-old knowledge that we always know, right? Stand united or be destroyed separately. But we don't. But I just wanted you to understand that at the end of the day, we're heterogeneous. But if we stay united and stand united, we will be a force to be reckoned with for the good of everybody involved. So hopefully we'll work more as the time goes on in this regard. But I did want to just share with you those couple of thoughts. Can I ask for questions? If anybody has any burning questions, I'll hopefully visit a lot more with you over the next few months. But if anybody has any burning questions that you'd like to ask at this moment.
What were the governor's visits about? I don't know what the governor's visits were about.
The governor's visits centered around getting to know who GHSU was in that case, getting to know what our community was. I mean, the governor actually visited ASU campus, for example. His staff did. As you may know, the governor in the State of the State address in January stated that they wanted to see a top 50 university here in Augusta, that they wanted us to have an NCI-designated cancer center, the second one. And again, it revolved around healthcare, but we were the only institution in the state mentioned in his first State of the State address. That's immense, and that did not just come randomly. Trust me, you don't get on the governor's State of the State address randomly. We worked with him and his team for a long time to show him the vision, show him how well we could do this, show him the unity that we had, that we were in lockstep, that we were going to do things for the state, and he did buy into that vision appropriately, and that's the kind of thing. But it's a dialogue, you know. At the end of the day, while we often talk about, we don't like to talk about business of education, it is a business, right? People invest, right? Large philanthropists don't want charity. We don't want their charity. We want their support. We are the best investment anybody can do in society today. Literally. hands down, we are the best investment. And where we're United University, we're not only going to be the best investment, we're going to have the two best investments anybody could ever invest in, education and healthcare. End of story. So if they don't invest in us, whether it's the governor or philanthropists or the state assembly or the nation, then that's our problem for not messaging that. But that's basically what it was all about. But that's a good question. Great. I don't want to take up more of your time. Thank you very much. Well, there's one question here, Bill. It's a, yes?
You heard anything about
About the new name. You know, I get it from my wife every day, but the answer is no. And in fact, I've actually asked, and Bill has too, and we don't really want to be involved in the name issue until the data has been produced. And the way the process will work, as I understand it, is we're going to try to do this in a bit of a scientific way, okay? We're going to try to collect data. I'm going to write a blog, by the way, on what names sound like if you're a top 200 university. I mean, it just was a fun exercise to do that. But again, they're going to collect data, they're going to do a little bit of market analysis, and then they're going to begin to narrow the options for us to choose from as a group, really independent of us. I've only given them 3 things that I can tell you that I know, okay? It can't have more than 3 words, okay? Because people are tripping over their GHSU. The governor already said he doesn't want more than 3 words. That's fine with us, okay? It won't have medicine or health or anything like that in there, and it will have university. That's all I know. It can't be ASU or GHSU because, in fact, it is a consolidation, which means it is a new university. It's not a merger. Nobody's acquiring anybody else. And so, at the end of the day, that's what we know. But frankly, Bill and I are going to stay on the fringes of that until the time comes when we have 3 or 4 names to pick from, and then it's going to go again to the community, and people are going to be able to pick from and have some options on that. That's all I know. But speaking of time, by the way, we do need to get it on the Regents by July. So we're going to have to, we didn't actually realize we had to move that fast, so we're going to have to start picking up the step on that. But you know, but I will tell you the one rule that I will have, and maybe any of you can help me. We are, and this is, again, no kidding aside, we do want to find a donor that will provide us with $100 million to name the university. Now, that may sound like woo, but the truth is this. Let me just tell you a couple of things. $100 million over 10 years is a $10 million donation every year. That is chump change for $1 billion, $2 billion foundations, and they're around there. Secondly, there's not every day that you get this new university that you get to name out of the blue that starts today. I mean, remember that the moment we become consolidated, we will be one of Georgia's top 4 comprehensive research universities. We will be part of that 5% of Carnegie institutions that actually does research as well as high-level education, and it is something that is happening once in a century. So we're working hard. The development team is beginning to do that. I'm schmoozing as much as I can to get that done. That's the way I'd like to name it if I could. So anybody who's got $100 million, let me know, and we'll name it whatever you want. All right. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate it.
Let me say a word here about this person, Dr. Ricardo Azziz. I just want you to know, as you'll see from my explanation later on, I don't know of anybody who has more jobs than he has. I don't know if anybody has more governing boards to deal with than Dr. Azziz does. I don't know of anybody who has put more energy into his work than Dr. Azziz does. I don't know of anybody who could be doing what he's doing right now and be as concerned about this institution that's going to consolidate with the one he currently is president of, more so than he's doing. I think we owe him a debt of gratitude for his hard work on this. It's really working hard.